This is Charter Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance. We're joined today by Mike Gardner. He is a member of the Riverside City Council. We're in Riverside today, and it makes sense that the city is called Riverside because it's by the side of a river.
It is.
When you go down Van Buren, you drive right over that river, and it can be very beautiful when it's lush. The challenges, though, is as we're facing this drought, we know that El Nino apparently is around the corner. And what happens when an El Nino hits to that river going through Riverside?
Well, normally, assuming you get the heavy rains that often come with El Ninos, it will flow bank to bank. Right. In most of the area, there are either bluffs or levees on both sides of the river. So it is to some extent channelized, and it will flow bank to bank.
But the channelization, at least in this instance, helps with regard to flooding.
Yes.
It can prevent flash floods or mass floods.
Well, it keeps the water in the river and from getting out into developed areas adjacent to the river.
But the challenge becomes that during this drought, the river, for better or for worse, has become inhabited by folks that are homeless.
Yes.
Explain
absolutely.
that situation, sir.
Well, there are a couple of things going on. People have lived in the river bottom as long as I've been here, which is over 40 years.
Through El Ninos, through droughts.
Yes. And they'll go out when it floods and come back later when things dry up. But by and large, the people who elect to live in the river bottom are people who don't want services.
Right, service resistant.
Many of them are substance dependent, one form or another. Many have one sort or another of a mental illness in addition, and they elect that lifestyle.
Right.
You offer services, and they don't want them because the services entail a set of rules that they are not comfortable following.
So I understand that recently both the city and the county went to the Santa Ana River running through Riverside to speak with these folks, to let them know about what could be around the corner. The reports about this El Nino, if it happens, or that it would be a Godzilla, the most powerful on record. We've heard that the oceans have warmed beyond all comparisons, and with that, we have a tremendous risk of torrential rains. And
we do.
What could that mean for these folks living in the river?
Well, it means if they are still there when it starts to rain hard, the water rises quite quickly, and there is real risk of loss of life.
So have you gone down with the city when people have tried to help these folks?
I have on occasion, not all of the trips, of course, but some did not know about El Nino. Others,
how would they?
Yeah.
They don't have a television. I don't know if they're reading the newspaper.
Actually, some do have
they
televisions.
Do?
It's amazing.
Rabbit ears?
Yes.
I love
and
that.
Generators, and I mean, it's amazing
it is what it is.
how ingenious some of those camps are.
Yes.
But many of them are out of touch with the general public and don't follow the news.
So what do you say to them?
Well, we try to explain that flooding is coming. They don't care that it's because of El Nino. They're worried about a flood.
Right.
And that it may come very quickly and unexpectedly, that it may rain in the mountains and cause the river to rise and not rain on them.
Of course.
So, some were saying, well, if it starts to rain and the water starts to come up, I'll just pick up my stuff and go. And you try to explain higher ground, wherever that is.
Do they have time?
Entirely possibly not. That's the risk to life. And you also have not just the risk to the life of the people who are there, but the risk to the life of the people who would be called to rescue them.
Right.
Our fire department has a swift water rescue team, as do many of the larger departments in the state. And those people are prepared to risk their lives to save somebody, but it's better if they don't have to.
Do you have shelter space?
We have some shelter space, but for the people in the river bottom, shelter space comes with rules. You can't smoke in the building. You can't use drugs in the building. You can't drink in the building. So some people, for those reasons, won't go.
At the same time, as it gets colder, presuming we hit this cold snap through El Nino, even though it won't get cold enough to create snow, especially in places where we may need it, but be that as it may, the temperatures have been dropping. I've felt it. You felt it. They may seek warmth. And how do they seek warmth?
They do.
And they seek warmth through the most natural way, fire.
There is a lot of that. And they also want to cook their food. So there are two sorts of fires that are used by the people camping in the river bottom: a warming fire and a cooking fire.
Right.
Warming fires tend to be larger.
And what's happened?
We have had, just recently, we had 4 fires in 8 days that all started in or immediately adjacent to homeless encampments in the river bottom. One of them was almost 25 acres. Oof. It threatened a small neighborhood, about 40 homes, and an American Legion post that was built about 1900, so a historic building.
Right.
In Fairmont Park, which is kind of the city's showcase park.
Sure.
So we lost a lot of vegetation as a result of that, and that's unfortunate. Fortunately, no one was hurt, and the fire services were able to keep it out of the residential neighborhood. But there's always a concern to that. And again, you have firefighters trying to protect life and property, and they put themselves at risk, and it's better if they don't have to.
Can you do something about this? I mean, if they're starting fires that are causing fire services to be summoned, is that not a violation?
It is. You can't effectively cite the homeless population in the river bottom for that, because there's no jail space to put them in, and that doesn't do much good anyway. I think what we are trying to do, and it's effective in many respects, not 100%, is you not only warn them that it's unsafe to be in the river bottom, but you explain to them that it is illegal to be in the river bottom. It's almost all private property of one sort or another. It belongs to a city or flood control district or the county, and they all have rules against camping on their property.
Right.
And so we tag their campsites and say, you have 48 hours to remove anything that you want, and at the end of 48 hours, we'll be back, and anything that you have left behind is trash, and we'll dispose of it.
Do you?
We do as best we can. There are some issues with getting equipment to haul the trash out into some areas, because it is very dense and it's habitat for a variety of protected species. So it's sort of a rock on a hard spot in terms of cleaning up the material they leave behind.
And what about debris generally? Some of these channels, there is so much debris built up that if it's not cleaned, it can cause its own flooding.
It can. And the city is cleaning storm drains and gutters and things like that. County Flood Control District is cleaning out particularly the improved, if you will, channels, the ones that are concrete boxes or a trough of some sort.
Are they cleaning it out quickly enough? This El Nino could start at any time.
They've been at it for a while. They have a ways to go, and there's some risk that
is this a
some
city
channels
or county issue?
Both.
Okay.
It's a mix, and there is some risk that some won't get cleaned in time and may create problems. Again, back to Fairmont Park, we have an arroyo that feeds into the park, and that's where the water in the lakes in Fairmont Park comes from. That inlet area has silted in and is now full of cattails and other things that are habitat. So we have to get a permit from the Fish and Wildlife Service, both state and federal, to clean that out so that the water will flow better so that we don't flood other parts of the park.
His name is Mike Gardner. He is a councilman in the city of Riverside, where we are today. My name is Brad Pomerance, and this is Charter Local Edition.